and Miami Mets pitcher Nolan McLean will be starting for the USA tonight. 2 first 4 games for the tournament are on tonight. UMBC versus Howard for a 16 seed at 6:40, and Texas versus NC State for an 11 at 9:15. It's 54 degrees at 2 o'clock time and temp, brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, Lauren Brooks, Taylor Dahl, and Tom McManus. This is
Helmets and Heels.
Helmets and Heels on 1010XL.
Tom McManus has the day off, but Taylor and I are still along the ride with you, as well as RJ Saunders. And Taylor Dahl, it's a chilly St. Patrick's Day, but happy St. Patrick's Day nonetheless.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. I just glanced over at the screen from our cameras, and I'm like, we're very bright green. Very bright
You're
green.
in the Kelly green, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I've got a headband with some shamrocks on it, and then more of like a thank you, and then a forest green dress, because I'm not used to wearing winter clothes for St. Patrick's Day.
I know. I told you because my closet is not big enough to fit all of my summer and winter stuff. So I always have to do a little swap. And usually around this time of year, I put my more winter vibe stuff away and I bring out my spring, summer stuff. And then I do the reverse in fall. And so I just did that a couple weeks ago. And so I was like, well, most of my long sleeves now are put away. But luckily, I managed to keep out one of my Notre Dame shirts, which is fitting because it says Fighting Irish on it and it's green. So it worked out.
Does that mean that you'll be fighting some Irish people later?
Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm not fighting any Irish people later. They'd win. So
I love it. By the way, I did a little bit of research on St. Patrick's Day. You'd think that as being Irish like I am, that I would have already known this, but I did not realize we celebrate St. Patrick's Day on March 17th because that is the anniversary of St. Patrick's death.
Oh.
I would have guessed more birthday than death.
Death, yeah.
Right? But yeah, he passed away.
Like more in memory rather than celebrating when he was born.
Yeah, or at least they think he died March 17th, 461 AD.
Wow.
So
yeah, I was reading some stuff earlier too, just about the holiday and how everything kind of came about to where it is now. And obviously a lot of holidays and traditions kind of change over time. So I was wondering how it began. And one of the things I read though is that the color originally for St. Patty's Day started blue and then it like ended up transitioning to green because of like just to more so kind of celebrate the Irish culture. But for whatever reason in the beginning it was blue. And I was like, well, that's a very drastic change at some point in time.
Interesting. See, I thought it was always green because St. Patrick, obviously being Christian, and so he identified like Father, Son, Holy Spirit with the shamrock. And so that was obviously the native Irish clover. And so that's why I just assumed it was always green. But hey, we weren't around back then, so we'll never know.
So it said blue was historically associated with St. Patrick and Ireland. Green became a symbol of rebellion and independence. So that's when it they started being like, let's focus more on that side of it, I guess.
Okay. I also know that, so Lent, that's the 40 days leading up to Easter, not including Sundays, and it represents, stories in the Bible, especially Jesus fasting for 40 days before his death and then resurrection. But so he was, or I guess the Irish people, during Lent, you're not supposed to eat meat.
Yeah.
Or now it's more like Fridays, and Catholics have done
that's
stuff,
what things
Christians
adjust.
Yeah, everything changes a little bit. But basically, as the stories go, the Irish people on St. Patrick's Day to celebrate St. Patrick went ahead and said, we're going to put those rules aside and we'll actually have meat.
Our traditional Irish food,
Exactly. And so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. All right, earlier today, we saw a trade between the Dolphins and the Broncos. And I immediately texted you and I was like, I don't love this. And what I meant by that was, I don't love this from a Jaguars perspective. And as far as the Dolphins trading Jalen Waddle to the Broncos, I feel like are a team that's ascending. We saw the Jaguars obviously win in Denver, 34-20. But Bo Nix, young quarterback, has a lot of things I feel like he could develop on. But also we've seen some really good things from him too, especially mobility-wise. And Jalen Waddle gives that team a really nice deep threat. And so I don't love that from the perspective of a contender in the AFC.
Yeah, and I think the trade initially, when they first said compensation, when it was read out loud to me in my office, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. But I think, and I've said it here when it comes to the Travis Hunter situation too, I think sometimes that multiple things can be true where it does feel like maybe a lot was given up, but that doesn't mean that it can't be worth it. And I think
first, a third, and a fourth.
Yeah, and I think, and pretty much it seems like fourth flops because they gave a fourth and then Miami gets a fourth. But you still get a first and a third. And then they obviously get Jalen Waddle and a fourth. And so I think that the values feels high, but I don't think it matters if it instantly improves your offense, which I think it will. And I think that most people even say if Bo Nix didn't get hurt, they probably would have been in the Super Bowl. That's kind of the vibes that it felt like at the time. And then so now how much you add this weapon who's been consistent in his time. And last year was probably his worst year. And that's because they were a hot mess. I mean, there's a reason their coach isn't there anymore. Yeah. Tyreek Hill's gone. The quarterback's gone. Everything was a bit of a disaster. And so we've seen here, it's hard to function when things like that, when locker room's not well and the coach isn't working and the quarterback is hurt and there's a lot of things going wrong. And he was still able to be just shy of 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. And so if you take that and you add it to a Broncos offense that you saw at times last year score a lot of points, they have a defense to obviously help that. I think it's big for them. I do think that it'll be interesting to see moving forward if they've pigeoned themselves into a short window because of it is what's going to be interesting to me, because you are giving away a first and a third, which are high valued picks. And I think that when you look at their cap situation next year, they're in a lot of trouble. And so are they saying, hey, we can win now and our window's right now? Is that kind of the vibe that they're feeling? Is Sean Payton thinking that in the sense of, yeah, we have, a young quarterback, but we have a lot of decisions to make after that, starting in 2027 when it comes to the money. They're very deep in the hole once it starts those contracts next year. And then they have decisions to make soon after that with some of these young guys. So it will be interesting to see, are they leaning all into this year of, hey, we feel like we have a window open right now and let's go win it. I get the sense of that more than building this like longevity of like building for longevity right now. I think they may have to start over in a couple years again in the sense of some of the weapons and stuff.
Yeah, from the Dolphins perspective, it's interesting because you don't have those 3 key pieces that you once had in Tua, obviously, and then Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at this point in time, but you brought in Malik Willis and signed him to a pretty big deal. So how are you expecting him to be successful? And I understand, yes, acquiring the picks, that part's nice. You get the 30th pick overall. And then a third and a fourth. The Dolphins now have 11 picks that they can use. So, yes, they want to build long-term for sure. And they have to completely rebuild, obviously, with a new general manager, new head coach and everything. But it's just interesting that they expect now Malik Willis to be able to be successful without some of those key weapons. But from the Denver perspective, Jalen Waddle, to me, is worth a 30th pick overall. I mean, his best season, he had, 1,356 yards plus 8 touchdown receptions. Like you mentioned, his stats for this year, pretty good comparatively to a receiver that would be on a team that also had a disaster at quarterback, where the quarterback ends up getting benched for Quinn Ewers, right? Like, that's still good numbers when he got almost 1,000 yards. His speed, obviously, is what makes him dangerous, makes you nervous. The fact that he's reunited with Pat Surtain is kind of cool, former Alabama teammates that get to be paired together once again. But Cortland Sutton, I felt like was kind of the only weapon that the Broncos had, only really weapon that when the Jags play them, I was like, oh, that's the guy you really
worry about.
Watch out for. And so that's what I feel like from the Jags perspective. It's like, okay, here's an AFC team that's another AFC team that's making big moves. We saw the Chiefs do it. We saw the Ravens do it. We saw the Bills do it. And the Jaguars aren't quite doing anything like that. And so that's where it's like, all right, they're getting a lot better. How have you gotten a lot better?
Yeah, and that's where probably some of the concern starts to come in, because it felt we had the conversation back in 2022 after that, where it felt like it was
run it back.
Yeah, you just got what felt content, and I'm sure it wasn't that. There's more conversations that go into that in the sense of the money you have to spend and how much of your draft picks you're willing to part ways with. Some teams just aren't, and we heard James Gladstone obviously speak on just the free agency of being like the comp picks are important to him. And so not every team, I think, values that. I think some teams value the free agents or trades and being able to bring somebody in that's proven in the NFL a little higher than maybe taking some risks in the draft. And we've seen different teams work different ways and win Super Bowls in different ways. So I don't think there's one set way of how this works, but it does make you feel like you took not maybe a step back, but you did lose to, a lot of touchdowns on one side and a lot of interceptions on the other side in Lloyd and Etienne. And how much did you replace? What's the value of the guys that you replaced that with comparatively to what teams like the Chiefs and Bills? I mean, the Bills adding DJ Moore, and then now we're seeing Waddle go to the Broncos. All of a sudden you feel like, oh, those offenses are immediately better. Do you feel like that with the Jaguars? Probably not right now at this point in time. And so I do think that is part of the conversation, because you go back and the Jags couldn't beat the Bills this year. And then now you add another weapon and DJ Moore that everybody said, give Josh Allen somebody like that, and you turn up a whole other notch. And so that is going to be the interesting part. There's still plenty of time. There's still some free agents out there that you could possibly go and grab, and what that looks like immediately, I don't know. But we've seen it year in and year out where it's these last few guys that will start to get signed throughout the season.
Second wave of free agency always ends up being more interesting as far as teams that don't have as much money, because those guys aren't as expensive.
Yeah, and how they fit in the offense. And we've seen, Liam Cohen and Gladstone and Coach Camp have been very vocal, and in the way they make the moves, in the sense of they like the fit. We hear that constantly of, okay, you don't just go get the player because they're a star player. You get the player because of the fit. And that's another reason I think this works for the Broncos. I think Jalen Waddle is perfect for what the Broncos, that type of offense that they run, and just historically what Sean Payton has done with the teams that he's had and the weapons that he's had. So I do think that you see these teams that feel like they've gotten better the last couple of weeks, and the Jags are not in that category. It doesn't mean that they can't be that by May 1st.
Yeah, and that's, I think the tricky part now is we can say, well, the Jags still can add second wave of free agents. They can add through the draft, but all the other teams we're talking about can do that.
They've already improved, and now they can improve more.
And some of them have first-round picks, so the Jaguars don't. And so, I think we've been, as Jags media, we try to look at it from the perspective of, okay, how is this team in comparison to the other teams in the AFC South, the other teams in the AFC overall? Well, right now, this team hasn't made some of the moves. They didn't have the cap room, so they haven't made some of those splash moves that other teams have, like we talked about with the Ravens, Trey Hendrickson, and things like that. And
Linderbaum.
Yeah. So how do you look at them now? And it's like, all right, well, let's maybe grab some of those second wave of free agents, so we start to feel a little bit better. And so we'll get into that on the other side. Some of the top remaining free agents that are available. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Fought for you by Green Law Group on 1010XL. He's your knight in sporting armor.
I wish to appoint a new sheriff of Rottingham. My friend,
Ryan the Hacker Green.
We didn't get dressed up for nothing.
Giving you another reason to listen longer. After Rick Ballou, evenings on 1010XL.
What's happening, beautiful people? E.T. here. Let me tell you about a little something that's happening right here in my side of town in Fleming Island. Encore Research Group is advancing the future of medicine through clinical research studies focused on weight loss, diabetes, hypertension, and more. Their team of multi-specialty doctors are proudly serving folks in Fleming Island, Green Coast Springs, and Middleburg. If you ever wondered whether a research study might be right for you, find out at EncoreDocs.com to see if you qualify. Encore Research Group. The future of medicine starts here.
Helmets and Heels Tuesday is
Litigated by Morgan & Morgan.
Money pages in your mailbox right now.
Did you know there's local savings sitting in your mailbox right now? Money Pages is packed with real coupons from your favorite local businesses. Save money at restaurants like Al's Pizza, on pet care at Forever Vets, and on entertainment for the whole family at the Alhambra Theater. Plus, make sure to download the Money Pages app for savings on the go.
Money pages in your mailbox right now.
Hey gang, Prosser here for my friends Chad and Sandy. What are your concerns? What struggles do you anticipate when it comes time to sell your home? What is it that bothers you? What's keeping you from getting max money as quickly as possible? Well, I don't know what those reasons are, because I know they're all silly. Because Chad and Sandy have one down-to-the-line guarantee. Your home sold guaranteed, or they will buy it. It'll be at a price and a rate that you agree upon beforehand. So if you need to sell now, fast, easy, stress-free, and you need max price, then you need Chad and Sandy. The government's making moves intended to push mortgage rates lower. The last time rates dropped, we saw a selling and buying frenzy. Now's the time to prepare. It's time to call Chad and Sandy. Darcy in San Jose did. I wanted to move to a more walkable, vibrant area. Within 3 days of working with Chad and Sandy's team, I found the perfect home. They do it stress-free with a guarantee. Go to chadandsandy.com or call 414-6200. That's chadandsandy.com.
If you've got to have more Gators, get them anytime with the Gator Podcast Channel. Served up by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Whenever you're ready, the Gator Podcast Channel is too. On the video and social channels of 1010XL.
Hey Jacksonville, Don here, the big cheese at Taco Lou. Well, everyone knows my wife Debbie is the real cheese at the Lou. We just do what we're told. We aren't a sports bar at all, but we have the best selection of the finest tequilas that Mexico has to offer, and that makes any basketball game more fun to watch. So come into Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach, where we love sports and we love tacos with our tequila. If you're looking for a crew to help with your fiestas at home or work, Taco Lou caters, bringing the tacos to you. Taco Lou in Jax Beach, where tacos and sports go hand in hand.
Are high-interest credit cards and other loans sucking the life out of your finances? It's time to say no more. Let Loan Pronto tap the equity on your home and get the cash you need now so you can pay it all off. Hey, it's Prosser here. Corey and Jack called Loan Pronto in a matter of days. They had $160,000. They kept their 3% mortgage intact, didn't even need an appraisal, and with all that cash, they wiped out all their credit cards and 2 car loans, saving $2,000 a month. You can do it too. LoanPronto.com, the rapid equity loan program, can get you $100,000, $200,000, even $500,000 in cash. Chloe and Ethan just did it. Consolidated all their high-interest debt into one super low monthly payment, giving them an extra $1,000 a month. Imagine, pay off all the credit cards, slash your monthly payments, breathe easier. Get your life back. Interest rates are at 3-year lows. Call Loan Pronto today, 904-999-1500. That's 904-999-1500, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Tom McMahon is on vacation this week. He will be back with us next week. Seems like he is enjoying vacation, although no new videos today.
I know. Maybe he heard me say, stop rubbing it in, Tommy.
I highly doubt he's on a boat in the Caribbean listening to the show.
To us.
And I always tell people, if you can get to the Caribbean, go. I don't care if it's on a friend's boat, if it's just staying in an Airbnb at a hotel, whatever it is. Having been to the Caribbean a few times in my life, every single time I come back, I say that was unbelievable and amazing and well worth all the travel and things like that. Even though the Caribbean's not that far, but if you have to get there
I've not been,
on
so I
boat,
do need
on a
to
boat, go that way. No matter how you can get there, get there.
Yeah, I've heard from all of the friends, even friends that have just done it through a cruise, and then we'll do different types of excursions or whatever they're called. They said even that is fantastic because it just feels like there's no time. You're just like free and nice. I've not been. It's definitely one of the places that I do want to visit at some point.
It is gorgeous, especially the water. Yeah. The only tricky part about the cruise is with those excursions. I used to work for a company that we did a couple free cruise, like it was free to us as far as a company team bonding type thing. And the cruise, it was so much fun, but you only get a certain amount of time for each excursion.
Yeah.
And so if you are, like one time it was in the Keys and it was like 6 hours, but we got there first thing in the morning. So we had to be back on the boat by like noon or 2. And I was like, there's no way you can have as much fun.
Then you're just rushed and you feel like
Key West especially. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if it's by cruise, go that way too.
Go for it. Yeah, I wanted to share this before we get to some of the free agents here. I just saw that as we were talking about the Jalen Waddle trade, obviously that Miami and Broncos made. So I saw something earlier saying Robert Mays posted it, and he said that the Miami, not one player on their roster right now holds their cap space for this year of more than $11.3 million. So no active player on their roster right now is getting paid more than $11.3 in this 2026 season. But then I just saw this one from Adam Schefter, and the Miami Dolphins dead money for this season is over $175 million. Tua Tagovailoa, $50 million. Tyreek Hill, $28 million. Jalen Waddle, $26.3. Jalen Ramsey, $20.9. Minkah Fitzpatrick, $13 million. Bradley Chubb, $10.9. Teron Armstead, $10.7. James Daniels, $4.8. And then Zach Wilson is... Oh, there's more. That's why there was a show more. Zach Wilson, 3.8. Alec Ingold, $2 million. Jonnu Smith, 1.7. Nick Westbrook, 1.6. Matthew Judon, 1.4. Cam Smith, $528,000. And Muhammad
golfer?
Kamara.
They owe the golfer money?
Yes. I was like, wow, you're just paying everybody
that
lot of money in dead cap.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I feel for Dolphins fans who just a few years ago thought they had the coach, thought they had the quarterback, certainly some incredible weapons, including Devon Achane, the running back as well. And then now they look up and it's complete rebuild. We know that all too well here in Jacksonville. We do not want to go through that again, which is why we want to add some free agents that are still available. As far as, for me, Taylor, the defensive side of the ball is where I want to add in free agency. The second wave of free agents, they're not going to be as expensive, like I said. And so I want to make sure that this team, when we me look up before the draft is a little bit better than they are now. And I think that can happen. And so let's go through some of the top free agents. And I'm going to, like I said, focus on the defensive side of the ball. Top free agents that are available that I do think could add some production to this team, especially when it comes to sack production. So the first one, yes, I understand he's just a few years younger than me and Calais Campbell and older than you. However, Calais Campbell had 6.5 sacks last season for the Cardinals. Obviously a career high back in when he was in Jacksonville in 2017 with 14.5. But Calais Campbell, come on back to Jax and reunite and make this Saxonville once again. I think whether he's played on the interior, like a Trayvon Walker who's versatile as well, interior edge, I don't care with Calais. 6.5 sacks last season. That's obviously more than Trayvon Walker had. That's more than Eric Armstead had.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously this like internal love already for Calais Campbell and who he is and the person and everything, but he still has value. And I think that's the thing that's interesting with him. And you have 18 years in the NFL and you're talking about year 19 that you can still get 5 or 6 sacks out of him. And I think that's huge. And I think the experience, the locker room side of things that he brings to it. I think it is. Yeah. Oh, I love listening to his voice. I used to say I want his voice like my GPS to tell me like how to get around town.
I used to say that if the Jags won the Super Bowl back in 2017, that there would be a bunch of babies named Calais. Boys and girls.
Yeah.
But named
either
Calais.
way, it would work both ways. I like that. But yeah, 6.5 sacks. I mean, even when you look in the last 10 years, he only had 2 seasons with less than 5.5, and that was 2 of the years in Baltimore, and I think it was like he rotated a lot when they were those couple years in Baltimore, and it was 4 sacks and 1.5. But outside of that, it's 14.5, 10.5, 6.5, 5.5, 6.5, 5, 6.5, and that's deep into his career. That's talking about if this goes back to 2017, so a decade ago. So you're talking about he was still in year 9, heading into year 9 at that point in time, and so I just think he's somebody that you adds value in a lot of different areas on your team. And I do wonder too, because I think that I don't know, last year in Arizona, he played a lot. Like he was a high percentage of snaps. I don't think he would have to or maybe necessarily even want to be that here, which is fine. I think bringing a guy like Calais in and having him as like a rotational piece, I still think you'd get 5 or 6 sacks out of Calais being able to do that.
Second most sacks on the team last year behind Josh Hines-Allen. Like, how is it that he hasn't come back to Jacksonville yet? We've talked about this now. It feels like every year since he left here. And yeah, I would love for Calais to come. I would imagine that he's not going to be that expensive because it's probably only going to be a 1-year deal.
Yeah, the one I'm seeing, I was looking real quick. So according to Spot Track, for 2025 was 5.5, reach a maximum of 7.5
million.
So million. And then he had 4.25 million guaranteed when it came to last year. So I could see something similar. Him ask 5 to 7 million, and okay.
That's $1 million per sack. It's less than the Jags are paying Josh Hines-Allen. All right, another one, Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa is a free agent, and so last season he had 5 sacks for the Bills. His career high was also in 2017. Back then he had 12.5 sacks. Joey Bosa is a guy that I'm also a little bit older, obviously longer in the tooth, but I think he'd be a good rotational piece here as well. Anytime that if you had either Josh Hines-Allen or Trayvon Walker get hurt and you needed a third guy there, I think that would be a good fit. And then he's got a good motor too, even though he is a little bit older.
Yeah, Joey Bosa is one that I have to separate. Not totally liking him.
Right.
I don't love Joey Bosa, but I think when you just separate that and talk about what he could add on the defense, I mean, it's an improvement. I think at this point, any player that you're adding that's going to be able to get to the quarterback in any way is an improvement, because obviously last year we talked about it, and just to get to the number of sacks that Myles Garrett had, you have to go like 8 or 9 players deep on the Jags to get to that number. And so
23 for Myles Garrett.
Yeah. And so adding someone like Joey Bosa or Calais Campbell, those 2 guys, for example, are ones that I think right away you're probably counting on 5 to 7 sacks from them, and that I think is what you kind of want. And I think adding somebody like that with that value too, you already are getting, you're talking about, okay, healthy Trayvon Walker next year, and then Josh Hines-Allen, maybe more of those pressures turning into sacks, and all of a sudden you're talking about a team where you have potentially and hopefully 2 players on the outside with Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen with double-digit sacks, and then you have multiple 2 or 3 guys with that 6, 7 sacks. And then that's when all of a sudden the pressures that are turning into sacks start to add up, and that number gets to where you'd probably like to see it rather than just having to talk about all pressures like we did this last year. But again, like the Bosa person, I have to be like, oh, like let me separate this a little bit. And not saying he's a bad guy. I don't mean it in that. I just think there's been moments where he's just not the most likable person. And then there was kind of that tiff between him and the Jags back in the playoff time too. And so it is interesting to kind of have to separate that sometimes. But he is somebody that I think that when you look at his career, what is he in now? So he's had 10 years in the 31. NFL.
So I say older, still much younger than Calais, but not as productive.
He's had 3 seasons with double digit. The most part he's had 5, 6, or 4 seasons with double digits, and the rest are around that 4, 5, 6 number. And so I think that you add that in as a rotational piece, and I think that's exactly what you kind of wanted from Agba last year that didn't end up working out.
And you'd be taking him away from the Bills, which is also good news. Another guy on the Bills, AJ Epinesa, another edge guy.
Yeah.
He had 2.5 sacks last season. He had a career high 6.5 sacks both in 2022 and 2023. And I agree with NFL.com. The best defenses have quality edge rushers coming off the bench. And so that, like you said, whether it was Dwan Smoot, Emmanuel Agba, the Jaguars just didn't have a guy last season to tally the sacks that they needed, as we've talked about all offseason. And even in the regular season, too. It took forever for Josh Hines-Allen to break the sack record, the franchise sack record here. And we just kept waiting and waiting. And so, yes, you have a guy that at one point had 17.5 sacks in Josh Hines-Allen. You have Trayvon Walker, who back-to-back years had double-digit sacks. He was one of the few guys in the NFL that could boast that. But at the end of the day, this past season, if you had gotten just a few more sacks, do you win that Bills game? And then how much farther do you go in the playoffs? We'll never know.
Yeah, I like I almost like Epinesa more in the sense of I think he's obviously heading into year 7, so you get younger, you have less tread in general because he hasn't really been a starter other than in 2024 for the Bills. He's been more of that rotational guy. In 2024, because of their injuries, he did have to step in and play a starting role that season. I think he's better, and this is what scares me a little bit is because I said this with Agba, is Agba seemed like he was better as a rotational piece in the season before he had to start, and so you were like, oh, well, we could get him back as a rotational, so he's going to be able to kind of go back to what he's good at, and that didn't transfer. And I think it's similar for me with Epinesa in the sense of he's been really good as that rotational piece, but he had the same exact production as a starter as he did in limited snaps at certain times with Buffalo. So what that looks like, I don't know, but I think the younger side of things, but the contract looks similar to what probably Joey and Calais Campbell would get. Joey Bosa and Calais Campbell, around $6 million, I'm guessing, is what it's going to be. His previous contract was a 2-year. So do you give somebody, because he's younger, that 2 or 3 year contract, and then maybe you can value it a little less because you are getting more years on it? So that would be interesting, but I think he would be a great fit when it comes to what he does in the rotational side of things at defensive end. And I think that when you go back and you watch him in Buffalo in 2024, he only had 6 sacks that year. But I remember him being like, his name was being said a lot when you would watch the games. And so, yeah, we don't want to hear pressures, but he was getting in the quarterback's face a lot. He was leading to other people getting sacks because he'd forced them out of the pocket and things like that. So he's somebody that very intriguing to me. He was number 1, honestly. It was like Calais and him. Outside of Calais Campbell, he was number 1 on my list of these free agents.
I really like Hassan Reddick. Obviously, only 2.5 sacks last year for the Bucs, lower for him. He had a career high 16 back in 2022 with the Eagles. He's a guy that I feel like would potentially end up earning a little bit of starting time over either one of the guys here. And again, yes, you want to have 3 really good edge rushers. And Dennis Gardeck, who we haven't mentioned, who obviously the Jaguars re-signed, is another guy that's going to be asked to get to the quarterback. But I feel like they need even more than just Gardeck and the 2 guys that they have here. So I feel like Hassan Reddick could come in and honestly push Trayvon and Josh.
Yeah, I like Hassan Reddick too. I think I would guess, and this is just my assumption, he'd probably make a little bit more. I think he's a little bit older than AJ and a little younger than Bosa and Calais, but I think he's heading into year 10. And so, but he has a lot of years with him. I mean, he had those 12.5, 11, 16, and 11 in those years. And then he barely played that year. He got injured when he was with the Jets. So he only had 1 sack that year, and then with Tampa, the 2.5. But that chunk of time, I think that's still there. And that's the thing that is intriguing. The one that he did play, I think he plays in a lot of, from what it seems like, a lot of these were more of that outside linebacker. So it will be interesting when it comes to what he's able to do. Because when you look at his just like the playing time. It was all of those defenses, I'm guessing, had 3-4s, or at least their main base was in that, because it's a lot of that sense. So it'll be interesting to see what team and how they fit him into those defenses and what Coach Camp sees out of that. Because if you're just straight looking at a production, then you're looking, yes, but how much do they feel like he fits this scheme, and what this defense does will be fascinating.
I'm honestly surprised as we are going through it that he's still available.
I know, me too.
That there's not a team that says, no, he's going to fit what we do, and we are going to get him back to those double-digit sack seasons. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on Hassan Reddick. Kyle Van Noy had 2 sacks for the Ravens last year, but his career high back in 2024, not that long ago, was 12.5. I like Kyle Van Noy. He's on the, little bit older side as well.
Yeah.
And so that makes you, again, when you're talking about if you're having to sign a guy for like 3 years, that makes you a little bit nervous.
Yeah. That one doesn't totally pop out to me. Yeah. I think I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be like, oh no, why are they making this move? That one of the list though, of these free agents left, I kind of scrolled past him a little quicker than the other ones. There was a couple names that I stopped on though, that I thought were interesting. And this guy's heading into year 16. But Cam Jordan, I think that is another name that popped out to me in the sense he just had 10.5 sacks last year. And so when you talk about guys deep in their career that are still able to get production, I think it's there. The 3 seasons before that, maybe not as much, but the majority of his career, he's getting double digit at least 8 or 9 sacks. And you can move him around the line. I think you see a little bit too. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's versatile.
Yeah, he's versatile. Yeah. I love all of those things about Cam Jordan. It'll be interesting what that contract looks like, because you're coming off still a 10.5 sack season. But then I think a lot of people are going to be like, okay, well, it's year 16. Like, are you realistically 3 straight? He hasn't missed a game though. I mean, I don't think he's ever missed a game. Like, looking at it, it's like 15, all 16. I guess it would have changed maybe a game or two in 21, 22 before it went to 17 weeks. But last year, the last 3 years, he started in 17 games. So he doesn't get injured. That's something. And like being that deep in your career, playing defensive end and seeing where I don't know if he's missed a single game, if maybe 1 or 2
I
here
guess
and there.
he missed his first one in 2021. He missed it due to COVID. So that's, that doesn't almost count. And then he did miss his first game due to injury back in 2022 when he had an eye/orbital bone injury.
So I think, and then I see in 2011 1 game. So in 15 years, he's missed 3 games, and one of those were COVID.
Yeah,
that's insane. Actually,
you can bring him to Jacksonville.
Yeah, come on down. Yeah. So that name popped out to me.
Yeah, me too.
A little
15.5 sacks he had in 2019. That was his career high.
Well, 16.5. Yeah. And so, that's very appealing to me. The other one, there's one name offensively that popped out to me, and that was Darren Waller. And it's a little interesting. I think I feel like, and I said this last year, I do feel like we need another pass catching tight end that you feel like that is more of their strength. And we saw it last year when Brenton Strange went down. It did feel like you really couldn't use that tight end room the way that you wanted to previously. And we saw things when it comes to, we saw Quentin Morris get, he returned. And so there's value in there, and maybe they want to use him. We had a touchdown out of him last year. But Darren Waller this last year, when he came back, he only had 283 yards, but he only started in 3 games and he had 6 touchdowns. So having a tight end like that you can have as that, use Strange throughout the game to get you down the field, and then let Waller get in the end zone and score
at 33, he shouldn't be that expensive.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And so he obviously, there's been different periods of time. He didn't play in 2024. He retired momentarily to start his rap career, and then he came back. But
he's had some off the field stuff relationship wise.
Yeah, there's a little bit of drama there. His story is cool when you backtrack it to the sobriety side of things and when he got sober. So there's been some ups and downs of roller coasters of Darren Waller. So I don't think you want to be like, let's give him a 3, maybe sign him for a year, because you just don't know what his next adventure may be to where he needs to retire. But I think he would add to your pass catching room pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to Darren Waller and be like, we've got a great rap scene here in Jacksonville. Come here and Duval, and your rap career.
We have a lot of cool music venues. You can go rap on the side in the off season if you want.
We have a great music scene. I don't know that Jacksonville's known for its rap scene, but that's neither here nor there. All right, more NFL to do on the other side. Keep it right here. Helmets and Heels, 10 to Nix on 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels
from the Greenlaw Group Studios. Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
You know, Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Budweiser for each game you pick right?
Yes, all you gotta do is fill out your bracket now at 1010XL.com. Overall winner gets tickets to Welcome to Rockville on Saturday. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it into any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the Free Beer Chubby Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details.
You've heard of spring cleaning, but there's something even better. Spring cleaning and spring organizing. Lauren Brooks here, and I love our organized closets from Closets by Design. They create custom storage systems designed around how you actually live, from closets and garages to entertainment centers, laundry rooms, and storage for any space and budget. Make an appointment to tour their showroom on Phillips Highway and get 40% off plus an extra 15% off, free installation, and 18-month special financing. Schedule your free consultation at 904-878-9393 or find them online, closetsbydesign.com.
This is Paige, owner of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. People ask me all the time what's healthy, and that's hard because healthy is different from losing weight. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. There are a lot of foods out there that are healthy foods, but they're not going to support your weight loss. And that's what we're here to help with. We're here to help you get in the healthy foods that are going to help you lose weight. The Awaken 180 difference is our coaches. It's our team. You can find things online about weight loss, but you try them yourself and they just don't work. And that's because everyone is different. And that's what our coaches are so skilled at helping you figure out.
Thanks, Paige. Hacker here. Figuring it out, that's what I needed. And the reason I chose Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Not a med, not a diet plan. I wanted a solution. Do what I did and make a 180 with your health and weight. Schedule your Awaken 180 consultation today. Call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 or awaken180weightloss.com.
It's a Helmets and Heels Tuesday.
Backed by Morgan & Morgan. For the people. Dial pound law.
Which team holds the record for the most NCAA men's basketball championships?
For over 20 years, Southern Oak Insurance has given Floridians a better alternative to their current homeowners policy. See what you can get with Southern Oak. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
UCLA holds the record for most men's NCAA basketball championships with 11. Kentucky is next with 8.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Rolling, rolling, rolling. We're all calling rolling. The toilet's overflowing. Oh my.
When you've got a leak and can't wait a week, call Roland Reese Plumbing, 260-7059.
At the First Coast YMCA, there's no place like this place, with programs and experiences that will bring your whole family together. Summer will be here before we know it, and Y Summer Day Camp registration is now open. Visit your local Y to secure your child's spot early for a season full of memories and adventure. Don't delay. Day camps will fill up. There's no place like this place, so visit your local Y to sign up or online at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Ticket here for Action Garage Door. Nothing more frustrating than your garage door misfiring. When it does, I call Action Garage Door. They take action. Jeff Menard and crew, Jacksonville folks, not some big out-of-town chain. Something goes wrong with your garage door, take action. Check them out. Garage Door 911, garagedoor911.com.
The price of gold is soaring, and the price of silver is near record highs. If you've got gold or silver just lying around, Estates Roadshow wants it. Broken chains, old rings, coins, watches, diamonds, vintage jewelry. If it's valuable, they're buying it. No appointment needed, just walk in, get a free appraisal, and walk out with cash. They're also buying pre-1964 silver coins, flatware, sterling silverware stamped 925. They're buying coin collections, gold, silver, foreign, and domestic. Plus, they've been in business over 35 years with thousands of prior happy customers. Licensed, bonded, state-certified scales, highest tech equipment, employees with GIA certifications. The Estates Roadshow is happening 10 to 5 through Friday, close by in St. Augustine at World Golf Renaissance and Palm Coast at the Holiday Inn Express. Call Marshall at 609-781-6559 or go to estatesroadshow.com and follow Estates Roadshow on Facebook to see all upcoming events.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
Cause you're a sky full of stars.
Once again, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. We did some research, and yes, St. Patrick, the original color associated with him was blue.
Yeah.
I
Was
never
very
knew that
interesting.
until today.
I personally, I like green better, so I'm fine with green.
Of course, the Irish fan. No, I like both
I mean,
blue and
they have
green.
blue too. Theirs is very
I've always
dark
wondered
blue.
why green isn't more associated with the University of Florida. Like the Gators.
Yeah.
And
with the gator.
obviously I know it's orange and blue, but you'd think that green would be
They
like
mix in more than what they do. I agree. I think they should because I do think that it adds. We need some like
Adds a little
color
pop.
splash Florida
Yeah, but
uniforms.
not
where
those
they
camouflage ones that they did
or
several
the
years
gator
ago.
ones too were bad. They looked like a gator skin or something.
That's the ones I'm talking
Okay,
about. Yeah,
yeah.
they're like I think they were actually camouflage, but they were supposed to look like an
gator.
alligator. They
Yeah.
were terrible.
Not good.
But
Don't
yeah,
do that
more
again.
of like some Kelly green
Yes.
mixed in, perhaps. I did, like I said, a little bit of research, and so starting in the 17th century is when Americans started adopting the Irish traditions, and so that's when St. Patrick's Day parades started, and then corned beef and cabbage; those were also coming from Americans, not Irish.
Oh.
So the cabbage, I think they definitely ate in Ireland, but the corned beef, that's an American thing
Well,
that began in the 17th
we do it right
century.
because I love corned beef.
Absolutely.
Is it your mom's side that has Irish?
Both, but
okay.
my dad's mom was born in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So lots of, and then my mom's side also has Irish.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just Irish everywhere.
Oh.
And Friday will be, my mom hosts Bunko for her friends once a year, and she always picks St. Patrick's Day or March.
Yeah.
So it'll be a St. Patrick's Day theme.
Oh, that's fun though.
Yes.
I love that.
And she'll make little Jello shots that are shots of gold or pots of gold.
Oh, I love your mom.
I know. It's so fun. And she will have corned beef and cabbage as
Yeah,
well.
it's delicious.
And so, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So, yeah, we've learned a lot today, I feel
We
like.
have.
All right, back to the NFL and especially the Jaguars. When it comes to the offseason, I didn't think that anyone would grade the Jaguars necessarily high when it comes to the national media, but I didn't think that the Jaguars would get a D-, which is what Garrett Podell of CBS Sports ended up giving them. And I understand people are going to focus on what the Jaguars are losing, certainly not gaining as much as some other teams like we discussed. But here's what Garrett Podell has to say about the Jaguars offseason. He says the Jaguars will be relying on Travis Hunter to essentially be a full-time corner in 2026, but at least they acquired a rotational running back in Chris Rodriguez Jr., fresh off a career year. The running back and linebacker positions still need plenty of help. Jacksonville's losses in relation to their additions make the most lopsided such ratio of the offseason. So a D- he's going to give the Jaguars because they lost Etienne Jr., and they lost Devin Lloyd, they lost Greg Newsome, but I don't think people are as concerned about that. And then, like I said, only really adding from the outside Chris Rodriguez Jr., but of course re-signing Buster Brown and Gardeck. And then previous to that, trading for Jacoby Myers, signing Cole Van Lannon to a long-term deal. In totality, they've made more than just the quote-unquote free agent moves.
Yeah, and I think to start, I get when, to your point, they look from the outside and they're saying, okay, you're losing somebody who had 13 touchdowns on your offense and you're losing someone who had 5 interceptions on your defense and was a massive part. Each of those were massive pieces of offense and defense throughout the season. And so those ones I think make sense. And I don't think people would say Chris Rodriguez is just that, okay, a 1-for-1 exchange. I don't think it could be. It could turn out to be that, but I don't think most people
That would
looking
be a
at it.
huge year for him.
Yeah, massive. But when it comes to some of the other things, they're like key departures. Yeah, Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne. Greg Newsome and Andrew Wingard, sorry, doesn't hurt my feelings that they are gone. But bringing back Buster Brown, I think we've all kind of discussed that, with that cornerback room, we're confident in the sense with Travis Hunter coming back and Jarian Jones and Jordan Lewis and Buster Brown that you feel good about that room. So losing Greg Newsome to me doesn't feel like, oh no, like we've lost a key part of how this defense functioned last year. I don't think that's part of it. And Andrew Wingard, as much as, and we talked about this when he got signed, that I just feel like he's Jacksonville, like he felt very Duval and he fit here in that sense, and he always put in full effort and he would make those plays sometimes. But I think what Antonio Johnson did last year proved that he deserved to be on this roster and honestly have a starting spot. So you didn't, to me, you have your 3 starting corners and you have your 3 safeties. So if you're talking about depth, maybe you're talking about you've lost things, but in the other senses, I don't think you have. And I think the main thing for me is there's too many to be determined, and that's what makes this look like they haven't had enough, because we talk about what they're not mentioning is you didn't get to see Caleb Ransaw last year, and so you pretty much that's going to feel like an offseason move this year because he got injured and you didn't get to see him a single snap throughout the season. And so Travis Hunter only had half of a season. So you get that healthy Travis Hunter full season. And
but
so
linebacker, you are still
linebacker
wondering.
is where I could see that. And I think also they're probably looking and they're saying, hey, you didn't have pass rush last year. And what have you what have you done to add to that? Dennis Gardeck was on the team. We feel like maybe they can use Dennis Gardeck a little bit more this season to get after the quarterback. And so maybe we'll see some of that. And then that value starts to change. But I do think that if you're looking at, and I was saying that at the top of the show, it doesn't feel like this team has gotten better from, if anything, it has gone backwards a little bit from that final game, but only because I think you lost Etienne and Lloyd. I don't know if any of the other ones factor into me of like, oh no, this team got worse because you lost Greg Newsome. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, and look, Devin Lloyd I've said is going to be really hard to replace.
Mm-hmm.
They both are. But with Etienne, you're looking to the future and you're thinking that maybe Bashal Tutin is going to be able to replace that production, if not be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's always the goal, is to get better. We didn't get to see enough of Tutin to be able to say, okay, he can definitely take on the role of Etienne, and that is both RB1 and being the guy that's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. But now you do bring in Chris Rodriguez, who's a different running back than Etienne. And so how is he going to fit into this offense? Obviously, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But when they drafted Tutin in the 4th round last year and they traded away Tank Bigsby, that sent massive messages. And of course, drafting LaQuint Allen in the 7th round too. But that sent a massive message that they believe in those guys long term, and they weren't going to be able to pay Etienne. And even if they had the money, I don't know that they would have spent it for Etienne.
Yeah,
I do think they would have spent it maybe more for Devin Lloyd because of the All-Pro or Pro Bowl, I should say, season that he had, almost an All-Pro, especially when it comes to what he did in Coach Camp's scheme. But at the end of the day, that 3 years, $15 million per year, so $45 million total. That's what the Panthers paid him, and good for the Panthers. They had money, and good for him, absolutely. But that to me is a huge question mark. Is more linebacker than running back at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think the linebacker, because you feel like you don't have that replacement at all. I think that in the sense of true running back, you do feel like Tutin can be that back. But, and I heard Primetime talking about this earlier, and they're like, okay, you don't think that Tutin could have 1,100 yards this season? I do. I think we could see 1,100 rushing yards and, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns out of Tutin this year. What you can't replace, what seems like right now in this point of time with Tutin, is 300 or 400 receiving yards. And that's when that value looks a little bit different, because this year, I mean, you talk about what Etienne was able to do, and that's 6 receiving touchdowns. Are you getting that out of Tutin? That's what you lose more than just the true running back side of things. And that's what I think they have to figure out, because that's been a big part of Liam Cohen's offenses, has been those receiving touchdowns for running backs.
And I will point out, Etienne had 3 against the Jets, 3 receiving touchdowns in 1 game. And so if you look at it more like that, but hey, it is 3. What it is. And he had 6 total
that they had the year before.
Yeah, they had 0.
0 the year before.
0 touchdown receptions by a running back in the previous year. So yeah, we knew Liam Cohen would fix that. All right, more to do on the other side. Don't go anywhere. It's Helmets and Heels on St. Patrick's Day, 1010XL 92.5 FM.
From the Green Law Group Studios.
Helmets and Heels.
From the green flag to glory lane.
It's showtime.
Hold your breath and hang on tight. Sunday at Darlington, powered by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234 on Jacksonville's voice of NASCAR. 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Buick GMC is proud to be the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville, earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness. All part of Nimnick's Treating You Right guarantee. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. For 3 generations, Nimnick has been the place customers keep coming back to. They treat you right, and they give a bunch back to the community. Visit NimnickBuickGMC.com today to learn more, or visit their showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC, we are professional grade.
Helmets and Heels Tuesday, protected by Morgan & Morgan.
What if the next roof you put on your home was the last one? Not another replacement in 15 or 20 years, the last roof. Metlock Roofing is Florida's only manufacturer and installer of this exclusive roofing system. Engineered for strength, built for Florida weather, backed by a lifetime warranty. Imagine never needing another roof. Call 938-9933 or visit metlokroofing.com. Get your last roof today with Metlock. License number CCC 1335581.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal.
Stand back, Jason. I'm gonna
Sneeze? Yeah, I saw that coming.
It's all this spring pollen, Jason. It's outside and it's inside my house, and I just can't stop. I can't stop.
Sneezing? Okay, let me help you with that.
How can you help?
At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can improve your indoor air quality with air purifiers, UV lights, and filtration systems. Every new system we install includes high-efficiency 4-inch filters that work better and last longer, even if you forget to change them.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Life can get pretty dusty sometimes. If you spend all day, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Coach Campo here, and I just want to tell you about the best pizza I've had right here in Duval, and that's Tony D's Pizza. Tony works hard to make every slice perfect. If you love pizza like I do, you need to go to Tony D's, Bay Meadows and 295.
The Golf Club of Southampton is gearing up for brand new greens and a lot more, and now's your chance to save on membership before the fee increase. Take advantage of $1,000 savings if you join before the work starts in late April and before the initiation fee goes up. It's a great deal, plus $500 additionally in Pro Shop credit. Don't miss out. All the details are at golfsouthampton.com. Become a member now and save big. The course is in great shape, so head on out to the Golf Club of Southampton. Call 287-PLAY and get on the tee.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not looking at the rearview mirror of unforgiveness. It's so easy to keep looking in the past when someone has hurt or offended us. What we don't realize that if we keep looking at the rearview mirror of anger, it will cause us to miss out on the good things that God has in store right in front of us. Friends, looking in the rearview mirror of the past will never give you peace in the present.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
XL Primetime and Bud Light is all about the buckets Thursday and Friday to tip off the tournament. Join Joe C., Matt, and Leon at the Southside Ale House in Tinseltown, noon Thursday, and Monkey's Uncle at the beach on Friday. That's Hoops Heaven and XLP with Bud Light.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Tom McManus on vacation this week. He'll be back with us next week. I want to wrap up this this Jaguars and free agency conversation, Taylor, by telling you that I saw a list of the 6 free agent moves that most change the NFL playoff picture. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I bring it up is because they included one Devin Lloyd as one of these 6. Now, granted, they also added that the fact that Jalen Phillips went to the Panthers as well, so it wasn't just Devin Lloyd, but the fact that, the on, let's see, number 3 on the list, 3 and 4, edge Jalen Phillips and linebacker Devin Lloyd to the Panthers. Of course, we know Phillips had one of the highest contracts in free agency, 4 years, $120 million, and we know Lloyd's 3 years, $45 million. But that comes in after number 1 being Kyler Murray to the Vikings, which I do think is interesting. I don't know if that's the biggest move that affects the playoff picture. But the second one, wide receiver Mike Evans to the 49ers. Look, we all know Mike Evans is one of the best to
Yeah.
ever do it. And so the 49ers, I think, landed a stud
Yeah.
in Mike Evans. But yeah, number 3 on the list, both Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd to the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense too because I think that the Panthers last year we saw them get to the postseason, we saw them push the Rams to the limits, and I feel like you started seeing flashes from Bryce Young. Do I think that Bryce Young is a guy that's going to be able to carry an offense and that sort of way? No, but I think that he's that type of quarterback that if you have a defense that you don't have to score 30 points and you have give him some protection and things like that, then he's able to win some games. And I feel like in that division, it does feel like they're in this window of winnable because it does feel like all of the teams in that division are trying to figure out really what to do at this point in time and where they're going. With the Saints, the Falcons, obviously the Falcons, when we talk about the quarterback room and what they're trying to figure out, I think the Saints, we'd say that too. It looks like maybe they've kind of figured that out, but we'll see what that looks like in the future. And they running back trades for them, so it kind of feels like Kamara's out the door, which has been the massive part of their offense. So what do they do there? When it comes to the Bucks, I feel like Baker's still who Baker is, but now you're losing Mike Evans and you have all these young weapons. And so I don't think they're extremely worried about that when it comes to having McMillan and Ekbuka. And then obviously you have Bucky, which I realized last week somebody said I kept saying Bucky Brooks instead of Bucky Irving. And I'm like, just get used to it because for some reason my brain doesn't want to say Irving. If you ever hear me say Bucky Brooks, I'm talking about Bucky Irving. But you have Irving, but they still have they've lost a lot of defensive pieces. They've lost their veterans that have been there for a while. They're trying to figure out that offensive coordinator because what they did last year did not work. And so that division feels like it's up for grabs. And so the Panthers definitely put in these two guys they listed, but if you go through their free agents, they added a lot of guys that I think improves their roster pretty much immediately.
Yeah, the other ones on the list out of the top 6, edge Trey Hendrickson to the Ravens. We've talked about that one a lot. Obviously, you're getting a guy that is always double-digit sack getter. And then number 6, Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. I honestly would have that one probably number 1 as far as if I was doing a list of the 6 biggest free agent moves. The contract is big, 3 years, $43 million for Kenneth Walker. However, the Chiefs have needed something like this. And what if Patrick Mahomes doesn't start the season and you do have Justin Fields leading that?
You want to be able to run
that team. Yeah, you have to be able to hand the ball off. And Kenneth Walker,
which him and Justin will have like 600 rushing yards a game.
Yeah. We saw what he did in the postseason, and regular season too, but the postseason, especially once Charbonnet was injured. And so, yeah, if I'm the Chiefs right now, I feel like right back in the Super Bowl window.
Yeah. And I think that they probably knew that. They knew this year that it just, between injuries and everything that was happening earlier, and then you lose your quarterback, that they kind of felt like, oh, well, this isn't the season, but that's fine. We're not hitting panic button. And we had a conversation earlier because I did my Bears podcast earlier, and we were talking about the Justin Fields thing, and they were like, it's kind of interesting because Andy Reid has never been that guy to like invest in a developmental, let's learn behind type of backups. It's been Gardner Minshew, who's fine, he's been whatever, but it's not somebody that people are like, oh, there's still a chance that he can start somewhere. Gardner Minshew believes that. I don't know if a lot of people around believe that. And then some of the other backup quarterbacks that they've had, it's been a Blaine Gabbert and like guys like that they've brought in. And I was like, well, maybe last year was a little bit of an eye opener of you lost Patrick Mahomes and you realized you didn't have any other option that you felt like you could even win a football game with. And Patrick Mahomes, previous to that, hasn't gotten hurt. We saw in the playoffs, he had his ankle injury against the Jags, but then he played through it. And then 2 weeks later for the Super Bowl, he was fine. So they really haven't had to think about that. And sometimes it takes something like this happening where, oh, he's not invincible, like he got injured and now we have to have a backup plan, and we saw how bad it hurt us. So let's get a guy that can move around, and not saying he's Patrick Mahomes whatsoever, obviously, but can run an offense similar. And then also, by the way, maybe you can use him in other ways throughout the season. People always joke about using him as a tight end or a running back or something like that, just because he's so fast and he can do a lot of things. And maybe we see some funky stuff with Andy Reid in that offense and what goes on. And then Eric Bieniemy's there, and I know there used to be jokes about Bieniemy and Justin Fields getting together because they feel like they're like a match made in heaven when it comes to certain things. So we'll see, but I don't love it. I don't love if you're like not wanting the Chiefs to win.
Correct.
I think this makes that team more dangerous than what they are, because that's something that they haven't seen. There is that running game that you can rely on from game to game.
Yeah, every NFL team that's a contender should know you have to have a good backup quarterback. And if you're starting quarterback is mobile. I've always believed your backup quarterback should
something
also
similar,
be
yeah.
mobile. Makes a lot of sense to me. All right, let's turn our attention to baseball. Tonight is the World Baseball Classic finale between the United States and Venezuela. We will chat with Mark Luino down in Miami, MLB content creator, and talk all things hardball next. It's Helmets and Heels, 10 to XL, 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
From the Green Law Group Studios.
I'm Brett Musburger, and you are listening live to Jacksonville Sports Radio 1010 XL.
Like many football fans in Jacksonville, I love defense. I am attorney Lee Lockett, and I'm here to tell you that defense in the courtroom is important as well. That's because penalties for DUI are much more serious than penalties on the gridiron. If you or someone you know is facing a DUI, call us for a free case analysis now. Know before you blow 858-9818. Put my more than 20 years of experience to work for you. Office is Jacksonville, serving all surrounding counties. Call 858-9818 or go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com.
Attention, Northeast Florida. Termite swarms are active right now, and once they get inside, damage can happen fast. Termites don't knock. They silently attack the structure of your home, leaving behind costly repairs and long-term headaches. Lauren Brooks here. Protect what you've worked hard for with the proven protection homeowners trust. Terminix it with advanced termite treatment and prevention solutions. Visit Terminix.com to schedule your free termite inspection today.
Helmets and Heels Tuesday
is served by
Morgan & Morgan.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. When you need a trailer hitch, gooseneck, or RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We've been doing it for 55 years, and customer service is our #1 priority. Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
If you want more teal in your daily diet, Jaguars Today with Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony. Exclusive guests, sharp analysis, and nonstop Duval football. Served by Renewal by Anderson, custom windows and doors. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
Next time you head into a Gate convenience store, look for Form Energy Drink, designed to provide energy, hydration, and focus, straight from Dana White and AB, celebrating those who embrace grit, discipline, and resilience in their everyday lives. Check out Form Energy at a Gate convenience store.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
All right, Jackson, let's talk about it. Spring cleaning feels great until your drains remind you what they've been holding on to all winter. If your sink's burping, your shower's backing up, or your toilet's hesitating like it's reading a blitz, it's time to call in the pros. Call Duck Duck Rooter. During their spring drain cleaning promotion, get your drains cleaned plus a free camera inspection for just $129. Must have outside clean out, honest pricing, proven experience, no fourth quarter surprises. When you're stuck, call the Duck. That's 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
Pages in your mailbox right now.
Did you know there's local savings sitting in your mailbox right now? Money Pages is packed with real coupons from your favorite local businesses. Save money at restaurants like Al's Pizza, on pet care at Forever Vets, and on entertainment for the whole family at the Alhambra Theater. Plus, make sure to download the Money Pages app for savings on the go.
Pages in your mailbox right now.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
The doctors at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists have resolved my hip and foot issues, and I'm back to training for the 2028 Olympics in LA. This is Garrett Scantling, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
This is David Garrard. Following my knee surgeries and recovery, I'm continuing to feel great and would recommend Southeast Orthopedic to anyone who's experiencing orthopedic pain.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. Brought to you by USA Park. The Florida Gators start their journey to repeat as national champions like they did in 2006 and 2007 on Friday night versus the winner of tomorrow night's matchup for the final 16 seed between Prairie View and Lehigh at 6:40. The first round matchup will tip off Friday night at 9:25 Eastern. It's 55 degrees at 3:02. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Welcome back into Helmets and Heels. Lauren Brooks here, Taylor Dahl here, and it's now time to talk a little bit of baseball as we continue on the World Baseball Classic with the finals being tonight, USA versus Venezuela at 8 p.m. And we're joined now by Mark Luino, covering Major League Baseball and host of The Wind-Up Show. Mark, thanks for hopping on with us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Super excited to talk about the WBC and a little baseball here in middle of March.
We are also very excited. I'm a big baseball fan, and so anytime I get a little bit of this, I want to start with the environment, because it's been so much fun to just watch this. Even over the television, you can see how much fun everybody's having there when it comes to the people in the stands, obviously, but even in the dugouts, we're seeing a lot of emotion out of guys like a Paul Skeens, who normally you get more of a little straight face from, even when he's winning Rookie of the Year. So it's fun to kind of see some of these guys open up and have a good time. So chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. If anybody ever has the opportunity to make it out to some of these WBC games, I highly recommend it. It's a must-see event inside the stadium, starting with the fans. They're just incredible. From the Dominican Republic to Venezuela to Japan to the U.S. to Italy, everybody has their own little, kind of fandom things that they do on their own, where the Japanese fans, they're in center field and they have songs and they're singing all game. The Dominican and Venezuelan fans are playing the drums and chanting loud. The atmosphere is truly incredible, and something that I hope that every baseball fan out there gets the chance to experience. I'm glad to hear that, the atmosphere is coming through the TV, but you can see it with the players too, and it starts with them. When they're excited, when they're having fun, when they're taking this tournament seriously, it makes it a much more enjoyable experience as a fan. So from everyone that I've seen, from every game that I've been to, from all the players and videos that I've, taken in, everyone seems to be just loving the World Baseball Classic this time around.
Mark, I think if you were to ask baseball fans, they wouldn't be able to tell you that it began in 2006. I feel like Americans started paying attention maybe around 2017 and then certainly 2023. But how has it grown so much in popularity?
Yeah, I think part of it is that along with all the other teams getting better in all the other countries, Team USA seems to be taking it more seriously every single year. In the past, we've had some really good players on Team USA, David Wright, Derek Jeter, to name a few, but now we're starting to see the pitchers come in. We're starting to see the superstars of the sport that are in their prime, guys like Paul Skeens, Aaron Judge, and then even from the international side, you have Shohei Ohtani playing for Japan. You have Juan Soto playing for the Dominican Republic. When the biggest stars in baseball come out for something, I think for the average fan, it kind of puts it more on their radar as, if these guys take it seriously, I think I should too. And the fact that we're getting such high competition, not just from the teams that we expected, but even from some of the dark horses like Italy in this tournament, that's what gets people's attention. That's what gets them excited. And then once you watch, I feel like you can't stay away.
Yeah, Mark, when you talk about the environment, we just saw it obviously with USA Hockey in both men and women's, and I love how it's kind of transferred over to baseball now and seeing that. I want to talk a little bit on the field when it comes to the USA. There's been some struggles in these games, probably some closer ones than you've wanted at times, and a lot of what feels like in games too many runners left in scoring position. What can they do with that? Because it feels like a game like tonight, you definitely want to get those runs when you have the chance to.
Yeah, you've heard Coach Mark DeRosa for Team USA talk about how this team's very patient and they want to wear down pitchers, and that seems to be their game plan. And it's gotten them this far and it's worked, but I think tonight, knowing that it's a winner-take-all championship on the line, I expect to see the guys be a little bit more aggressive when there's guys on base. Try to drive in some runs, try to do some damage, be accurate with the bat, play to the scoreboard. and just really try and take this, because you don't want to have to go into the ninth inning again like they did against the Dominican Republic and be sweating the last final pitch of the last inning where the game's a little bit closer than we want. But I think if they come out aggressive early, that will really set the tone for this team, and I expect them to.
If the U.S. wins, who's the MVP? If Venezuela wins, who's the MVP?
Well, that's a great question. For the USA, I mean, there's a lot of great choices, but I mean, Roman Anthony's been really good. Bobby Witt's been playing a great series. I think, honestly, it will come down to for Team USA who has the big moment in today's game in the championship. I would love to see Aaron Judge step up and do something big and really take that MVP home. Maybe a big moment in this game for Venezuela or against Venezuela. For Team Venezuela, for the MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr. has just been involved in everything. He's got a big hit last night that, helped push them past Italy. Luis Arias is another name that's just been nonstop hitting. Eugenio Suarez. It's nice because all these teams, you have a bunch of different options, so it will come down to the last game. But look for the big names: Ronald Acuna Jr., Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr.
When you're talking about the pitchers, I have, at least since we've been on this show, have not seen the official lineups coming out. Is there a projection for who you think will be starting pitchers for both teams tonight?
Yeah, so for Team USA, the talk at the beginning of the tournament was Nolan McLean, pitcher for the New York Mets, actually a rookie this year, which is going to probably be the biggest game of his life. So I hope he can step up. As a Mets fan myself, I'd like to see him do well. But I believe it's going to be Nolan McLean. And then from the Venezuelan side, I do think that they're going to be very aggressive with how quickly they pull a pitcher from the game. But I do believe Eduardo Rodriguez was one of the names that has been floated as a guy to start the game for them right now.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. And I thought, of all the different pitchers that we have playing for the United States, Nolan McLean, like you said, a rookie like that, and he obviously didn't play all that well or didn't pitch all that well against Italy a few nights ago. That makes me nervous.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes you nervous. Listen, I know I have my Mets fan bias here, but I trust my guy Nolan to get the job done. A little bit different of a lineup. Italy stacked a lot of left-handed batters, and if there is going to be something that gives McLean trouble, it will be lefties. Luckily, playing Venezuela tonight, all their best hitters are right-handed. It's going to be a right-handed dominant lineup. And with the way that his pitches move with the sinker and the slider, it actually turns out to be a pretty good matchup. It's just, we hope the nerves don't get the best of him right now.
Mark Luino joining us, covering Major League Baseball down there in Miami right now, getting ready for the World Baseball Classic, the WBC final tonight at 8 p.m. Before we let you go, Mark, I want to go through some of these other possible roster conversations for the USA tonight. One of them being Cal Raleigh, obviously, and Will Smith. Cal struggling at the plate, so they ended up putting Will in. Do you think they continue with Will Smith tonight?
Yeah, I would like to see Will Smith back there. You heard the pitchers after the game talk about how Will called a really great game, and I don't think that's anything against Cal Raleigh and what he's been doing behind the dish. I just think that's more of a tip-the-cap moment to Will Smith. He's a multiple-time world champion, one of the best catchers in the game as well. I also love having Cal Raleigh come off the bench. The fact that he's a switch hitter and it's the most home runs in baseball last year, it's a nice weapon to have, especially for a guy who's been struggling. Maybe get him a moment where he doesn't have time to think, doesn't have time to react, just goes up and plays a little baseball and can get a big hit for this team late in the game.
The other one being that third base, Gunnar Henderson, obviously coming in the last game and hitting a home run, replacing Alex Bregman at third. Do you think they roll with Gunnar again?
Yeah, I do think that they go with Gunnar. I guess it could depend on if Eduardo Rodriguez is going to actually be the starter. Personally, to me, I still think you go with Gunnar Henderson, while Alex Bregman is a great player and he's steady and you know what you're going to get. I do think Gunnar adds a little more pop to this lineup, something that they've been lacking in these last few games. And the fact that he's the hot hand right now, let's keep it rolling. Let's see what Gunnar's got.
Mark, who wins the game?
I mean, I got to pick Team USA, of course. I think they're the better team. I think this roster was built to win the World Baseball Classic, and I truly think that anything besides a championship is a bit of a failure. So whether or not, it's going to be a close game, I think it will be tight, but Team USA out on top. Let me see 5-3 Team USA.
I love it. Let's go. And have a blast tonight, Mark. Thanks for joining us. And we'd love to chat with you again sometime.
Thank you, guys. Go USA.
Go USA. Yeah, it's going to be quite the environment.
Oh, yeah.
The atmosphere. The cool part is, I feel like,
my guess is they're already tailgating outside of them.
But the cool part is, I think some people are realizing, maybe if they're not diehard baseball fans, how good baseball is in other countries.
Yeah.
Like the fact that United States, we won in 2017, and we haven't won since then. Obviously, they didn't have it in 2020 because of COVID, but didn't win in 2023, but hadn't won prior to that. Like I said, it started in 2006. So this is largely been dominated by other countries.
Yeah.
And so we're finally coming into our own a little bit. But the bat flips are so much fun.
Yeah.
The energy is electric. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it tonight.
Yeah, we technically had 2 teams, USA and Italy. It's all of ours. But the rest.
But yeah, and I will say, as far as like a country note, like this would mean so much to Venezuela as a country and everything that they've been going through. And so I will say, like, the United States has won a lot recently, whether it's the Olympics, like you said, the hockey, you know, things like that. And so in baseball, obviously, too, now making it to the finals. But it will be fun, like you said, tonight, 8 o'clock. All right, we will turn our attention now from baseball to basketball, talk some March Madness with Paul Biancardi when we return from ESPN. It's Helmets and Heels, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
Backed by Green Law Group.
For the insured.
Fighting for you. 1010XL.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You hear it too.
What do you hear?
A voice. 1010XL.
He does have a warm, attractive voice, doesn't he?
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Chevrolet is proud to be a 7-time Chevrolet Dealer of the Year recipient, the only dealership in Northeast Florida to ever win this prestigious award, earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness. All part of Nimnick's Treating You Right guarantee. Visit nimnickchevy.com to learn more. For 3 generations, Nimnick has been the place customers keep coming back to. They treat you right. Where do you go? The answer is simple. Nobody but Nimnick. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Helmets and Heels Tuesday.
Covered by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
If you're listening to 1010 and you're a parent, chances are your kids are playing sports. Check out i9sports.com with spring and summer registration open right now. In the gym or on the field, and now at Tokoi Creek High School and Westside Middle. Check it out, i9sports.com.
Catch Gators baseball all season long on 1010XL. Pitched by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
You know, Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Budweiser for each game you pick right?
Yes, all you got to do is fill out your bracket now at 1010XL.com. Overall winner gets tickets to Welcome to Rockville on Saturday. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it into any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the Free Beer Chubby Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details.
Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive and 1010XL. Fresh faces in new places.
Give me the ball.
Listen for free agency profiles. Built by Premier Outdoor Inc., a visionary of hardscapes and aquatics.
Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Nikki Sema. My dad started in business when I was just 4 years old, and now we're 35 years and 20,000 satisfied customers in, and literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you're looking to revitalize your home with new flooring or need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites and don't forget to stop by our showrooms during our open house and cookout this Saturday from 10 to 3. Come see affordable luxury, experience the Lifetime difference, and receive additional open house discounts.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. Triumph did a really cool thing last year, Greg. They went off-road. What's happening with Triumph?
Well, not only did they go off-road, they threw all the chips on the table. Ricky Carmichael personally developed this motorcycle for them. So if you haven't seen the Ricky Carmichael 450, you need to come see it. Also just released some Enduros this year. They've got a full lineup. You're going to love them.
Talking Triumph, the latest off-road. Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency. Check out cyclesofjacksonville.com. I'm Frank Frangie. Life-changing is an understatement for the 180 I've seen with my daughter Amber. She's now lost over 100 pounds with Awaken 180 in just 9 months. A true 180. Not just on the scale either, in her energy, her confidence, the way she lives. And what I love about Awaken 180 is we knew it would work. It wasn't a hope, it wasn't a guess that maybe it'll work. Amber started the programming knowing this was going to be her solution. Now, you've heard stories from our hosts and clients and probably people you know personally who've reclaimed their life thanks to Awaken 180.
It works for the person who needs to lose 25 pounds. It worked for Matt Hayes, who wanted to lose 40. It worked for Hacker, who's lost more than 120 pounds. And it's worked for Amber, who's well over 100. That's why I believe in it. Whatever your scale number is, call the number that will work for you. 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com. Once again, that number is 844-346-1800, or you can reach them online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
We've talked football, we've talked baseball. Now let's talk some basketball with ESPN's Paul Biancardi and talk all things March Madness. ESPN's recruiting director, college basketball, and NBA draft analyst. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, let's get it to about 90 minutes from Jacksonville. It would be the town of Gainesville, FLA, and obviously Todd Golden's team won it all last year. This team, very different this year, certainly relying on their front court as opposed to their back court, which was so incredibly impressive last year. What did you think when you saw the path that Florida will have to take to get back to the national championship if they can do that?
Well, first of all, I mean, I can only remember a couple of teams that have repeated, right? Duke in the early 2000s, and then recently UConn, and Florida, of course, back when Billy Donovan was coaching. So those are the three that I remember going back to back in the last 30 years. It's a tough road. It's a tough road for a lot of reasons. In the South region, I think that's the toughest region of them all. And I think Florida's backcourt really has to be solid for them to continue to advance.
When you talk about Florida and the comparison to last year, it felt like last year, even whenever they were down at half, they were able to come back in that second half, a lot of times being big scoring nights from Walter Clayton, especially late in those games. And you don't quite have that Walter Clayton now. What do you think is the biggest indication that this year, if they are able to go deep into this tourney, who's the indicator of that?
Well, you mentioned Walter Clayton, and that's exactly how you win in the NCAA tournament. Have great point guard play. And they have good guards with Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan. Those guys have to have a strong assist-to-turnover ratio. 2-to-1 would be great. They can't turn the ball over, and they can't have bad shooting nights collectively. One of them needs to play well. If both play well, with the front court that Florida has and the ability to rebound and just dominate the glass and defend at a high level, this team can get to the Final Four. And as an assistant coach, I was in the Final Four with Ohio State. And I can tell you this, when you get to a Final Four, no matter what your seed was previously, no matter who's the favorite, you really feel like you can win it all.
Certainly you do feel like that. It's such a special environment. This year obviously will be in Indianapolis. Paul, how many teams do you think can win the national championship? I know about like a month or 6 weeks ago, we talked about 13 teams. I read an article that could win it all. How many teams do you think can?
Well, I think all the one seeds certainly can do so. I also think there's some really good two seeds out there that, have a legitimate chance to win it all. When I'm looking at the two seeds, I'm thinking about teams like, Houston and Purdue and even some of the three seeds. Michigan State is not out of the realm of possibility. And Iowa State is one of the most deadliest teams in this field because they're number 3 in the nation in defensive rating, and they're 14th in the nation in made three-point field goals. That's a beautiful combination to win it all. So I think some of those teams really grab my attention.
When you talk about the storyline, Paul, of the Big Ten, and it's been 26 years now since 2000, since the Big Ten's been able to win it all this year. Michigan, obviously, being one of those top seeds, and then a team like a Nebraska or a Michigan State, some of those, any of those you feel like have the chance of breaking that, what feels like a curse now at this point for the Big Ten?
Yeah. Well, Michigan is certainly built to win it all, as is Arizona, Florida, and Duke. I think those are the teams that not only have the best resumes, number one seeds, they have star power. You have to have star power along with great point guard play. Michigan will miss L.J. Kaysen, the young man who got hurt. He was a good role player for them. He averaged 8 points a game, but he was a really solid defender. But they're so deep and talented. Certainly can win it all. I think Michigan State, if they get there, I wouldn't bet against Tom Izzo in a Final Four. I know he's been there 6 times, I think one time, but they have a pretty well-balanced team, and they do one thing exceptionally well. 2 things. They defend and they rebound. And that's been the MO for Tom for a long time. They certainly have enough scoring punch. Illinois is a team that's very dangerous in this tournament. And I can see them getting to the Final Four as well. So I think those 3 teams have a legitimate chance from the Big Ten to win it all, if they can get to the Final Four.
Paul Biancardi with us from ESPN. Do you think that the Cinderella story in the NCAA tournament is dead?
I think it's dying. I don't think it's dead. Certainly there's going to be first-round upsets and second round. And to me, that's still Cinderella. If you win a game in the NCAA tournament as a lower seed, that's a big upset. And then if you win 2, I mean, those are massive upsets. But I think that's where it's going to stop, only because the 1 seed, the 2 seeds, and the 3 seeds, when you look at the roster construction, they're really talented. They have high major size. I just think they're teams that are really built to endure a six-game tournament, if you will. I just see the Cinderella type teams getting hot from the outside, pulling off an upset. They have to make double-figure threes. They're not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with these 2 and 3 seeds and 1 seeds. They have to play a different style of basketball, and that usually encounters forcing turnovers and making threes.
When you talk about the regions, you mentioned the South earlier. Of those 4 regions, do you see any of them just a quick look at your bracket when you're looking at them have more upsets or more surprises you seeing any of the particular regions?
I don't know about regions. I can give you teams that I think have legitimate chances for upsets. I think I really like what High Point, their opportunity against Wisconsin. I called their championship game. They score 90 points a game, and they force a lot of turnovers, my exact recipe. I don't know if they'll beat Wisconsin, but I think it'll be a very, very close game. I do like VCU in a close game against North Carolina. Some of the other upsets I'm looking at in terms of seeding, I would look at, I'd keep an eye on Akron. They really can make shots. They score the ball at a high level, and there's no drop-off. They play 8, 9 guys. They have great depth, and I think they have a real chance to hang around against Texas Tech.
And we've got games tonight. We've got UMBC against Howard, both 16 seeds, and then Texas and NC State at 9:15, both 11 seeds. So we get to have the March Madness begin tonight.
Yes, and keep an eye on Miami of Ohio. That their team is just such a great story, but they got high skill players. I mean, they got 4 guys who can get 20 points a game. The weakness of Miami of Ohio, keep an eye on this. Their interior defense is not great, and SMU has a freshman by the name of Jaden Toombs, who's just an old school low post player. I mean, he can go for 10, 15, 20 points in that game against Miami of Ohio. I think that's going to be the key for SMU. Can they score paint points? And NC State and Texas, they've both limped into the NCAA tournament. But I like Texas in this game. I think they'll grind out a close win.
Paul, final one before we let you go. That 7 and 10 matchup in the West with Miami and Missouri. We have a few Miami fans here, including also a former offensive lineman for the Miami Hurricanes and Leon Cersei, and they're a little nervous because of Miami having to play at St. Louis because of the tournament being there. Does that factor in at all for you?
The crowd gets behind the home team or the underdog. At this point, Miami's so battle-tested. All these teams are, right? They went on the road in their conference play. They've heard everything said imaginable. The one thing I love about this Miami team, beside the fact the magnificent job that Jay Lucas and his staff have done. Putting together a roster is one thing, but they have coached this team extremely well. Jay was certainly up for ACC Coach of the Year, which is amazing in your first year of being a head coach, and he went from being an assistant to a Power 4 school. Miami has veterans. I love Malik Renault. I think that he's the go-to guy for Miami, and their experience can absolutely win this game. I'd be excited if I was a Miami Hurricane going into this game.
Yeah, we've got Florida, we've got Miami, we've got UCF and USF all in the tournament, so it'll be fun to watch. Paul, we know you're a busy guy, so thank you so much. Enjoy the games tonight and tomorrow night.
Yeah, one other thing, USF, Brian Hodgson at South Florida, that's going to be an upset over Louisville.
All
Here
right.
for it. Go Bulls.
Yeah, I picked that one in my bracket as well. So, yeah, perfect. Good to know. Thank you so much, Paul.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. The other game, by the way, tomorrow night, the first game, Prairie View versus Lehigh. The winner of that will take on the Florida Gators on Friday night.
Are you nervous?
I'm always nervous. So, yes, I'll be more nervous on Friday, probably around 9 p.m. since that one doesn't tip off till 9:25. But, yeah, it's always interesting. You've got the 16 seeds as far as playing games, and then you've got the 11 seeds as far as playing games. You would think that it would be all 16 seeds as far as the first four, but it's not the case. It will be interesting if they expand March Madness and they expand the tournament to how it will affect the first four and things like that. But yeah, good stuff from Paul Biancardi, and I definitely made some changes on my bracket.
Did you?
He was,
I haven't even started mine yet.
I have the interactive bracket, and I like to edit things as we go along. But yeah, that Iowa State game. So if Iowa State wins its first game, like we talked about with Foye Luakin yesterday, and if Kentucky wins its first game, you have in the second round Kentucky versus Iowa State.
Yeah, which that would be a fun one. I don't know if that's what
2 seed versus 7 seed.
Foye technically wants. I was saying too.
He thinks
earlier,
they can win it all, the Wildcats, so he doesn't care.
If it goes to Florida, Houston, then Florida would be playing at Houston.
In Houston.
Yeah, in Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, there's a few different games like that. Like Paul just said, he likes VCU over North Carolina potentially, but I want to say that North Carolina game is in North Carolina.
Okay.
I want to say, I'll have to look that up. But yeah, as far as just different games, this is the fun part of filling out a bracket is you want to see how different it can look between when you first start to fill it out and then a couple days later once you've heard kind of like the experts and what they predict.
Yeah, I usually just sit down and go. I literally will probably Thursday morning just start filling out once I know everything.
That works. Yeah, that game is in Greenville.
Okay.
North Carolina is in Greenville, North Carolina.
I will say, because we obviously were just talking about the World Baseball Classic too on that last segment, and Team USA Baseball just showed up in all game-worn USA hockey sweaters. So they all, I guess all the hockey guys sent their jerseys, and Pete Crow Armstrong is wearing Jack Hughes. And so I'm like, how fitting for me.
Maybe PCA will be the MVP.
I love it.
And you love him for sure, a Cub through and through. All right, more to do on the other side. Don't go anywhere. It's Helmets and Heels, 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels, provided by Green Law Group. The longer you listen,
I thought the play was exceptional.
The more you learn about your home team. We stay close to the Jags, so you can too. 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here for South State Bank. South State has helped our businesses and charity grow and thrive. Whether you're expanding your operations, managing cash flow, or planning for the future, South State Bank offers forward-thinking, tailored solutions to meet your unique business needs. With expert guidance and best-in-class service, South State is here to help you move your business forward. Visit southstatebank.com or stop by your local branch today. Let South State become your partner in taking your business to the next level. That's South State Bank, member FDIC.
Helmets and Heels Tuesday.
Litigated by Morgan & Morgan.
Frank Frangie here. If you're expecting a tax return this year, here's a smart way to use it. Invest in new tires from Big Chief Tire. It's one of the best things you can do for your car and your safety. I've been going to Big Chief for years because they do it right every time. Put that refund to good use and hit the road with confidence. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 today and let Big Chief take care of you. That's Big Chief Tire.
David Garrard here, and once again, I'm reporting good news about how good my knees are doing following PRP treatment at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. For an old quarterback like me, my knees are in great shape.
You don't have to be a celebrity or a professional athlete to appreciate the everyday personal attention you'll receive at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. For any orthopedic need, call on the pros at SOS.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Did you know that an annual coating inspection can extend the life of your building by years? Catching early signs like hairline cracks, fading, and moisture intrusion helps prevent costly repairs down the road and keeps your property looking its best. Our team at Performance Painting helps you stay ahead of maintenance with professional inspections and long-lasting coating solutions. Protect your building, protect your budget. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a free inspection. Performance Painting, repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Best Bet poker fans, the stakes are high this month as Best Bet dishes out over $700,000 between Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine's poker rooms. Feeling lucky? How about daily high hands, weekend winnings every Friday and Saturday, and go for the green on St. Patrick's Day, where a royal flush in clubs wins up to $5,000. See all the details at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal.
Stand back, Jason. I'm gonna
Sneeze? Yeah, I saw that coming.
It's all this spring pollen, Jason. It's outside and it's inside my house, and I just can't stop. I can't stop.
Sneezing? Okay, let me help you with that.
How can you help?
At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can improve your indoor air quality with air purifiers, UV lights, and filtration systems. Every new system we install includes high-efficiency 4-inch filters that work better and last longer, even if you forget to change them.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing.
Life can get pretty dusty sometimes. If you spend all day, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
I did want to share this golden moment with a note that we didn't get to talk about yesterday when the news came out. Yes. And so, but as we were talking about the Jaguars earlier and free agents and moves and all of that stuff, we did not mention Antonio Johnson, and he did land. The NFL announced yesterday their top 25 performance-based payouts that happened. And so Antonio Johnson was on that list on here. And so he was 20th out of those top 25. And he made another, it was like $1.065 million. And so obviously these performance-based is a system that the league had put in place for players that play high snap counts but have low salaries. So good for Antonio Johnson. We talked about it. What a great season for them. You get an extra $1 million. Looks like you have a starting spot next year if things go as planned throughout camp, which my assumption would be that it would. And we'll see a battle, I'm guessing, between him and Caleb. But I feel like Antonio, the way that he played this year, really earned himself a spot and earned himself some money. So shout out to Antonio Johnson right there.
Heck yeah. I don't know what you do once you realize you get an extra $1 million.
You just check your account and you're like, oh.
Other than, maybe transfer that money and maybe spend a little bit of it, have some fun. One other thing, too, it came out earlier today. Thomas Houck ended up being on the third team as far as the All-American. So that's good to be on the third team, but in watching him, every Florida game, a little surprised that he's not on at least like the second team.
Yeah.
The first team I get, those are the guys that are going to be lottery picks.
Yeah.
But I thought, all right, he would be on the second team. But alas, he makes the third team alongside guys like Houston freshman Kingston Flemings, And then a couple guys from Texas Tech, LeBaron Philon of Alabama, guys like that.
Yeah. We also had a note for the lineup for USA Baseball tonight. We were chatting a little bit about some of those projections earlier, but obviously it'll be Witt Jr. at shortstop, Harper, Judge, Schwarber. But they are starting Bregman at third over Gunnar Henderson, Anthony left field, and then Will Smith will be catching tonight. Terang, obviously, who's had a really good tournament for him. And then PCA is not starting in center field. They have Buxton starting out there, and then Nolan McLean will be pitching.
Yeah, Nolan McLean, like we said earlier when we were talking to Mark Luino, as a rookie, it's
a lot
intense. Yeah, and you can't let your country down. But Mason
No
Miller,
pressure at all.
who's been a great closer for coming out of the bullpen for the Team USA. They don't know if he'll be able to pitch tonight because it would be his third time out in 5 days.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I guess when he was asked, he said, "It's to be determined." Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then obviously the part of that conversation is the whole Scooble thing, which is weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, he went back. He said he has to keep his pitch count and all of that, and then he went and threw 61 pitches in the spring training game he played, and everybody was like, "You could have just done that here. I don't know the difference." And now he's like, "Well, I want to be in the dugout," so now he's back standing in the dugout. But I don't know, weird situation there with Scooble.
It is super weird. All right, time now for Lauren's Lane.
Now, Lauren's Lane. Opened up by Closets by Design. Imagine your home totally organized.
All right, I want to get a little college football in here. Heather Dinich had some great reporting earlier today from ESPN. And basically, when you're talking about the college football playoff, it seems like the SEC, as we know, went to a 9-game conference schedule, right? And that they did that with the expectation that the college football playoff would expand from 12 teams to 16 teams. But that did not happen because that's not what other conferences want, including the Big Ten. So now there's conversation that they're potentially going to skip going to 16 teams and now go to 24 teams. And so the college football playoff would double from 12 teams to 24. Who knows as far as the timeline of this? Because again, they all have to agree. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting that some of the SEC people that she talked to said there may be a change in our attitude depending on how this plays out. They may be more amenable to 24 teams as of right now, because 24 would allow most of their teams, their good to decent to good teams, in the college football playoff.
No.
I feel like that's missing a step. Yeah, we went from 4, which I loved 4.
Yeah.
But I understand why they wanted to get to 12. It's all about money. I get that. But to go from 12 to 24 just seems like, let's just let everybody.
We're about to have a whole March Madness bracket.
Yeah, participation trophy in college football. I don't love that because I don't think that we're going to be asking them to reduce their number of games to get to the national championship. In theory, they're not paid. I guess the majority of them, probably the top percentage of them are now getting NIL money and getting paid by the schools, but still they're not getting NFL type salaries.
Yeah, it's weird. And look, I've been one of the biggest supporters of expanding. When it went to 12, I was pumped about that. I'm fine with 16. I feel like I've been, and not everybody agrees with that. And I'll have conversations about that constantly on this radio station when I'm out and about, when we argue this. And I just like it in the sense of being able to giving other teams a chance to have some upsets or just get their name on the map. And I think that sometimes schools just being able to be in the college football playoff gives them the chance to be able to recruit a little bit better. And I think that if you're able to recruit a little bit better or get those transfer portal guys because you have a chance to get in the playoff, that makes college football better in my eyes because you have more competitive teams. And ultimately that's what you want. But I think there's a limit to that, to where it's too much. And I think 24 is too much. I feel like at that point right now, and I guess this year you're like, okay, well then you could have still had, you could have still had, I'm trying to think of even the teams that were Tulane or whatever. You could have still had them in there and then also put Notre Dame and Alabama in there if you have that, the more you have. But you could have done that if it was 16. You don't have to go to 24 to feel like you're still getting some of those teams that were on the cusp that you still felt like it, but then also still giving the teams chance like a Tulane who you want to give those auto bids to. So you still have all your auto bids, and then you still have the chance to get the teams that are on the cusp. But when you get to 24, I think then you're pushing it to where you'd be like scraping to be like, is this team that you're putting the top 25 in the college football playoff?
It waters down the regular season, and that's been the whole incredibly fun part about college football is where it used to be if you lost one game, your season might be over as far as making the BCS or being able to vote. Being voted, I should say, in the BCS poll. But at some point in time, I just don't think that this is good for the sport. To me, 12 is perfectly fine. If they wanted to go to 16 to be able to include some of those non-Power 4 schools, because obviously I think they made a mistake this last year having 2 non-Power 4 schools in the college football playoff and the 12-teamer. So if you want to go to 16, okay, but 24...
That's a lot.
That is just a ridiculous amount. And like you said, that's putting basically the top 25 in all of college football. So I also don't love that they still don't have, these schools don't have an idea of exactly what metrics they need to hit.
Yeah.
That the committee is using their subjective opinions to be able to vote teams in. So that part makes it still not a true playoff. You're still getting voted in. And so they want to know, is it, as far as the committee's eyes, do they have to win by a certain amount? Is it margin of victory? Is it strength of schedule? How are they documenting strength of schedule? Is it when you play a team what they were ranked, or is it at the end of the season how good that team was, right? And then a team, if they lose their quarterback, that may drastically change their rankings. Well, what are you going off of as far as when our team played that team and things like that? So I understand they need more information, and the committee should come out with, like college basketball does, the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, things like that.
Yeah, and your Lauren ranking, or your Lauren, I forget what we named it, but I feel like you have to have set standards, I think, and that's the problem right now is they don't, and they evaluate different teams different ways, I feel like at times too, or different parts of their schedule. Like for some teams, they get in because, they won their first 6 games, and then maybe they had a little rough patch in the middle, and so they're evaluating those first 6 games as, really important. But then for other teams, they're like, well, it was in weeks 1 and 2, so it doesn't matter as much. The more recent schedule is what we're going to evaluate more. So there's just no consistency in it, which is kind of the main term of college football right now, is not having consistency in anything they do. And that's where it gets frustrating. And that's where we have the arguments that we did this last year, in the sense of, why is a team ranked higher than one team for weeks, and then all of a sudden when nobody plays, they're not in, they move in the rankings.
Yeah, Miami moves in, Notre Dame moves out.
And that one, even I said when it was happening, I understand. The problem is they should have just had it ranked ahead from the first time. But then Alabama,
tricking people.
Yeah, the Alabama loses a game super recently and to a not very good team, and that didn't get valued in as a game that was 10 weeks prior to that. And so there's too much inconsistency. But if they said, hey, here's the format, this is what we're ranking, this is how we're saying strength of schedule also should adjust throughout the season. You can't say, oh, you played, X team, because a team that played Notre Dame in week 3 maybe wasn't valued as high because they were 0-2 at that time going into that game. But by the end of the season, that schedule changes. So it's a lot of work.
Don't use the preseason rankings whatsoever when it comes to strength of schedule.
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it because you're wanting to put the best teams in the college football playoff.
Put it in a binder and print it out. By the way, one SEC coach said, should I keep my starters in and run up the score, or is it okay to take them out and develop younger players? Like in the eyes of the committee, are they even aware that a coach is doing that, or are they just looking at
their starters
score?
aren't in the beginning?
Yeah, at the end of the game.
Well, this other team scored 3 touchdowns, and it's like, because our entire starting defense was out.
Right, because I'm trying to get them experience at this point in time, and that way they don't transfer next year. I want them to play.
Yeah.
All right, one segment to go. We'll bring you today's Pest of the Day. On the other side, it's Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
Brought for you by Green Law Group on 1010XL. Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Rotator cuff injuries are common among athletes and those who have physically demanding careers. Don't let this injury keep you away from the sport you love. Dr. George Bari here, and the first thing you need to do with a serious shoulder injury is to diagnose where the damage is and how significant it is. Rotator cuff tears are either acute tears sustained during an injury or accident, or degenerative tears. If you're interested in learning more about rotator cuff repair and how our expert team of orthopedic surgeons can help you, call Bari Orthopedics today or visit BariOrthopedics.com.
What if the next roof you put on your home was the last one? Not another replacement in 15 or 20 years, the last roof. Metlock Roofing is Florida's only manufacturer and installer of this exclusive roofing system. Engineered for strength, built for Florida weather, backed by a lifetime warranty. Imagine never needing another roof. Call 938-9933 or visit metlokroofing.com. Get your last roof today with Metlock. License number CCC 1335581.
Helmets and Deals Tuesday.
Backed by
Morgan and Morgan.
Hey, life can get a little hectic at times, and no one has time to get hurt, lost wages, injuries that not only hurt, but ones that hinder our success. If you're in this position due to the negligence of another, you deserve to be paid. What's up, Jayville? This is Tom McManus. Injuries suck, and if you get injured, check out Morgan & Morgan, the largest personal injury law firm in the country. 100 offices, over 1,000 lawyers, with enough firepower to handle any and all personal injury cases that you may be dealing with. And they make filing a claim easy and don't get paid unless you do. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Visit forthepeople.com or hit Pound Law from your cell. Pound Law, that's all.
La playa is Spanish for the beach. If you can't remember that, the word Corona also works. Corona, La Playa awaits.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, I've seen ads for diamonds where you see the words all diamonds certified by IGI, EGL, or GIA. Just what does all that mean?
Frank, it's confusing because those letters represent various diamond grading laboratories. However, it's important to point out that labs don't certify anything. They issue diamond grading reports. The only entity that can certify the diamond is the seller. There's one exception to that, and that's members of the American Gem Society have the ability to certify diamonds through their partnership with the American Gem Society Laboratory. That's because it's the only partnership in the world where an organization devoted to consumer protection through gemological education and ethics has a laboratory built on the exact same principles. We have these certificates at Underwoods, but more importantly, we have American Gem Society certified gemologists that look at all of these diamonds and put our grade and our certification of the diamond's quality on it. And believe me, that's important.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Find out what new golf equipment could help your game.
Well, I'm just a humble golf pro. Could I help you?
Get great golf tips and talk from the experts on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
Got to figure out why I'm still shaking the ball.
Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
I'm with Craig from Cycles in Jacksonville, and I tell you what, Bike Week signals a great time of the year. What is happening in the motorcycle world?
There's a lot going on. You got the Supercross race in Daytona. You'll get to see the all-new Triumph dirt bikes. Honda, of course, is always on the podium. Lots of exciting things happening there. And then at the racetrack, all the manufacturers there, you can check out, demo ride the bikes. Great time to be around.
Talking bikes down at Bike Week, and then you can see all those beautiful rides in the showroom on Atlantic near Regency or cyclesofjacksonville.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you as we roll along on this St. Patrick's Day. Tom McManus has the week off. He'll be back next week. Time now for today's Pest of the Day is always brought to you by our friends at Terminix. You can find them online at Terminix.com. They take care of any pest control issues at ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, and Everbank Stadium, as well as at our house. All right, so the AP All-American teams are out. We just told you Thomas Houck is on the third team, but the AP actually, the Associated Press actually put out their graphic for the field of 68 with the different guys that are on the first team, the 5 on the first team, the 5 on the second team, the 5 on the third team. All of that makes sense. Taylor, you're someone who does graphics, so I'm going to tell you how Thomas Houck's last name is spelled on said graphic. H-U-A-G-H. H-U-A-G-H. His last name is spelled H-A-U-G-H, which is how you get the Houck part of the pronunciation. But yeah, so you can't even, it's not even that hard of a last name, first and foremost. And then you can't even
But once you
spell
know
it right.
you're like, okay, it's Hauk.
Also true.
Yeah.
Exactly. Most people who don't listen to the games are like, oh yeah, that guy How, and I'm always like, it's pronounced Hauk, but I understand how you would think that because if you're not listening,
Like how?
yeah, you just see the
How is
last
it spelled
name.
Hauk?
How is it spelled Hauk? Exactly. But you got to be better than that. You're the
Yeah.
Associated
That's
Press,
bad.
and they might have updated the graphics since I originally looked. But Chris Harry, our good friend who covers Florida for FloridaGators.com, quote tweeted it and was like, spell his last name right. I'm like, seriously, you got guys with much more difficult
You were
last
very
names.
close. Just swap the two.
Exactly, but also like, where's the person that's supposed to be
editing,
spell checking?
like, like doing the grammar part. That's
the
you in
second
this
set of
building.
eyes. I love to be that person. You got that right. But yeah.
Speaking of last names, I saw a tweet earlier, which we've had this conversation since Travis Etienne Achan told us how he pronounces his name, and someone said, "I can't wait until week 1 when Devon Achan comes up and says, my name is, I actually pronounce my name Etienne."
I'm going to change my pronunciation and swap with the other. It really is going to be an interesting story to follow, just in the sense of like, what does his brother do when it comes to his first press conference this upcoming season and things like that. By the way, one last note about St. Patrick's Day, since we've been teaching people about it throughout the show. St. Patrick was actually born in Britain. Did you know that?
Okay, they're tricking us
I
all
know.
sorts of tricks today.
Blue, not
St.
green.
Patrick's Day.
But he was kidnapped, brought to
Corned beef
Ireland
seared.
as a slave at age 16. He later escaped, but returned to Ireland, and then was crediting with spreading Christianity throughout Ireland. So there you have it.
We've learned a lot.
We have learned a lot. Let's say hello to the Frangie Show.
Now, the 2-minute drill is driven by nobody but Nimnik. Nimnik Chevrolet on Cassett Avenue and Nimnik Buick GMC on Phillips Highway.
Hayes Carline joins us now. We are we're regaled in our green. Where's your
Yes.
green, sir?
I like getting pinched, so I don't wear green. Yeah.
I kept
So-
saying that everybody that walked into
Yeah.
my office today, I was like, "Can I pinch you?" And they were
Yeah.
like, "Sure." I was like,
Yeah.
"That's weird. Never
Yeah.
mind."
Yeah.
Now I'm not pinching you.
Yeah. It's analytics.
That's the best response yet.
Yeah.
I like being pinched. When it comes to, we talked a lot about some free agents that the Jaguars could add earlier in the show. There's a ton of guys out there, Hayes, that had a lot of sacks this past season, and I don't understand maybe why. I guess I understand why the Jaguars haven't done it yet. The first wave of free agency is expensive, but like Calais Campbell, Joey Bosa, AJ Epinesa, Hassan Reddick, Cameron Jordan, Kyle Van Noy, like there are guys available still that had a lot of sack production last season.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for the comp pick formula to expire, which will be like the Monday after the draft.
Okay.
So I think you get through the draft. They want to protect, if they get like a 3rd rounder for Lloyd, 4th rounder for Etienne, and maybe a 6th rounder, 7th rounder for Newsome. I think that's going to be something that Gladstone's going to try to do every year. And, and so if you wait, you might see some guys go off the
Correct.
board. But to your point, there's such a glut of talent that chances are that a lot of those guys are still going to be available in the summer. So you get through the draft and see what the draft brings you, and then circle back as you get a little further down the road and see if one of those veterans can help you.
We don't like waiting around here. By the way, how was your Bonos yesterday?
Oh, so good.
So good.
Might be the best that we've ever had. I mean, no one likes to win that way, except of course me. And
A win's a win.
Yeah, exactly. So, but apparently Frank is protesting the loss to the competition committee.
Oh,
so
I heard.
So I think we've worked it out that we got the Bonos,
Mhm.
but he may not take the
the L.
loss for a Colin Morikawa. I'm sure he would have let you get away with that, right? When you were playing Loser Monday, I'm sure if you had.
My Derby horse finished in first, but then was disqualified for cheating.
Yeah.
But I still had to go to Bonos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was good, and we'll see what happens. I think we got a Loser Monday this week for the NCAA tournament.
Very
I've got
nice.
to get a bracket from you.
Yes.
And it's exciting. It's hard to believe that games start tonight.
I can't believe we're more than halfway through March.
It
Yeah.
is kind of crazy.
How
It
did
just
that
started.
happen? I know. I
It
thought
is.
it did.
It's amazing.
But yeah, we've got.
I like this deep, dark voice you have. Amazing.
I was.
Stanley is in her Calais.
It took me until 49 to get to puberty, and I'm glad to have finally
made it.
arrived. Yeah.
Well, the good news is your voice sounds like this today. Yesterday a little bit, but I think a little worse today. So tomorrow, no one can blame it on the St. Patrick's Day shenanigans.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. We've got a great Frangie show coming up. Chris Harry Harry will join us at 5 to talk about this Florida Gators basketball team. That'll be a lot of fun. And should be a lot of fun coming up on the Frangie Show.
All right, sounds
Thanks,
good. I
guys.
love listening to Chris Harry. He's embedded with that Florida Gators men's basketball team, and nobody knows that team better than him. All right, that'll do it for us today. Once again, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Enjoy those
Happy St. Patty's.
those green beers out there and green rivers in Savannah and everywhere else.
Chicago, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. For the vacationing Tom McManus, for Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. The Frangie Show is next.
Yeah.